Hey guys, welcome to Table Talk Tokyo. Today I have Marc Keen with me. He is the owner and coach at Balance Fitness and also a Spartan coach at Roppongi CrossFit. We've seen each other at several different events, but we've honestly never had a chance to sit and talk about philosophy, why we do what we do, how we got into it, why we're in Japan. So I'm really excited to have him here today to get into all of that and more. In terms of the transition from, I guess, digital art work to personal training as a full-time group coaching, when did that happen? How did that happen?
So I'd been here for about 5 years, working in TV and film.
This is like 2007 and 2012.
Something like that. And I got a request from a studio in Los Angeles to get to work on Iron Man 3.
Oh, man!
And again, it was one of those things where it's like, wow, this is a childhood dream to be able to work at a major studio. So I just followed my instinct and I went back to the States. I moved to Hollywood. I worked on a few feature films from 2012 to about 2015. Moved up to Vancouver, Canada, worked in studios there, worked on X-Men, worked on Fast and Furious 7.
Cool.
And then I decided I'd had my fill of sitting behind a computer for over 25 years and said I want to do something completely different and make fitness my main thing.
Cool. And then why the jump back to Japan at that stage?
Well, I was living in Vancouver. It's a great city, but it didn't really jive with me energetically. So I thought, where's the last place I remember really enjoying where I lived? And I was like, it's Tokyo. And also I was, obviously really into CrossFit at the time. And I thought maybe a good chance to try to have my own business for the first time in my life. Functional fitness is still quite new in Japan.
Especially at that time.
And I love Tokyo. So why not give it a go? And that's why I decided to come back.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when you did come back, the intention was immediately like start my own thing and get it off and running?
Yeah, in fact, I had to incorporate myself. I had to start my own Kabushiki Gaisha.
When you got here?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I had to start my own company, which was myself. And it was really tough going the first couple of years, starting with 0 clients. And
know exactly how that is.
Yeah, you know how it is, right?
How it is, yeah.
But I said, if I can show a little progress the following year, I'll keep going. If it becomes too tough, I can always go back. But every year it's gotten a little bit better. So hanging in there 5 years now.
Yes. How did you start doing your current job?
So since I started Balance Fitness 5 years ago, I have been doing one-on-one clients was kind of my main thing.
Yep. And this is kind of on location, like traveling to...
Yeah, it would be at either people's residence or in a park or
That's exactly what I did. Exactly.
And then a few years after that, I got a Spartan race had decided to come to Japan. It was back in 2016 or 17.
17, I think it was.
Yeah. So I was a member at Heart and Beauty CrossFit at the time. And I had done Spartan race all the way back in 2011 in Malibu, California. That was the Spartan race had only been 1 year old at the time. So it was one of their first, the first year of racing. And I was kind of hooked at the time I did that. And so when Spartan Race came to Japan, I met Emily, who's the country race manager, and I told her, hey, I've done this. I've done this race, and I'm a coach, so maybe I could start a class. So I first started my Spartan class at Heart and Beauty, did that for a year, and then moved on to Roppongi CrossFit, where I still do the class.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy most about what it is you do?
I'd say the reason that I decided to get into fitness in general as my main business was I love to see that spark when someone realizes that they can do more than what they thought they can do, and they have the power to change their trajectory. They have the power to change their life, and that was it's intoxicating. It's addicting. So like I said, and I saw that in myself. Like I kept pushing my own limits, and I know how good that feels, and watching your confidence grow. And I said, I want other people to do that, and I want the rest of my life to be kind of in service to helping people push past their limits. And of course, Spartan Race and CrossFit are both about pushing limits and expanding yourself. Once they see what's possible in the fitness realm, it translates into other parts of their life. Like, geez, what else can I do? That I can do?
What other limits can I push to level up, or what other, how can I ignite a fire in other places? I could not agree more.
Yeah.
100%.
Great.
On the flip side, what is one thing that in your career, in your field in particular, it might be CrossFit related, it might be Spartan related, it might be anything related, do you not like so much? Or do you see that's maybe not ideal?
Detrimental, I think, and I don't know whether this is just a human thing or if it's part of a byproduct of some of the intense or extreme sports that we're involved in, but it's where someone's ego comes up and they start to want to progress too quickly, not pay their dues by focusing on fundamentals. They want to be the rock star right away, and so they try to cut corners. And coaches, especially that don't speak up and tell them, clients or members, hey, let's master the basics first. Life is long. You got plenty of time to get there. It's that kind of rush or that ego fueled desire, or that I find unhelpful. And when I don't see coaches educating or correcting their clients, then that's frustrating.
Yes. Yes.
Every gym is different. Some gyms allow more of that kind of cowboy, anything goes atmosphere, some more than others. I see it in Spartan sometimes, people who are trying to bite off more than they could chew, or they're so focused on getting a medal as opposed to or finishing first in a race, as opposed to what is this about? What is the point of this? And is this about getting healthier, or is this and fitter, or is this just about a medal or a trophy, or something? So
interesting.
And I think it's really clear going in to know whether your goal is for just fitness for life, or if you want to be a competitor. Because the training and the goal and everything is completely different, whether it's Spartan or CrossFit. Because to be a competitor, that's not necessarily about fitness. Because there's a lot of injuries. You're beating your body up. Whereas if you're just doing, for fun or to keep healthy, your goals are different, your training looks different, everything looks different. So you really have to be clear why you're doing what you're doing and what is the end game.
Additionally, where do you lie on that spectrum?
Well, obviously, when you're training to be a competitor, there's a certain anyone can improve and get better at a skill or anything or a sport, but of course, your training is going to be more intense. Your nutrition is going to have to be more on point.
As a competitor.
So there's going to have to be more sacrifices. I see people in our classes that they say that they want to be able to do handstand walking, or they want to do a bar muscle up, but they're not really putting in the time or effort to learn those skills or practice them. So it's almost like this magical wish that somehow this knowledge will be shown onto you, and you will, So it's a lot of sacrifice. Your life becomes very narrow when your goal is to compete. And again, you're going to endure injuries. You're going to endure, there's a lot of sacrifice involved. So you just have to be clear on if that's what you want, or you just want to have a more general sense of health and perhaps lose fat or get stronger, and then your training is going to look a little more balanced and have more fundamentals in it, less advanced skills.
So that's competitor versus the more just training to be healthier.
Lifestyle, fitness lifestyle.
And then when you first came in, we were chatting about kind of where you are now, and I'm probably in a similar boat. Where do you think you are on that spectrum?
Well, when I first started, obviously, I was already doing, when I started CrossFit, I think it was 2010. So almost 10 years I've been doing CrossFit as an athlete.
You would have been here, 2010? You were here from 2007 to 2012?
Yeah, I'd gone back to do some courses in digital arts, and while I was there, I'd started doing CrossFit. So when I was first introduced to it, obviously I've been exercising and training and having this stoic kind of lifestyle since I was 19.
Oh.
So it's about 32 years straight.
Okay. So you got certified when you were in your mid-20s while doing digital art full-time because you just loved to exercise anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't practice necessarily as like a full-time personal trainer. It was just this thing you did on the side.
Yeah. I would train a few people before work. I'd train a few people in the evening. It was more of an avocation than it was a career. So when I had started CrossFit, it was, I was already doing some fairly intense metabolic conditioning anyway, so it was a natural thing for me. But in terms of competition, the first couple of CrossFit Opens I did, I started getting really into the idea of learning these higher level skills, and I could see that in my age range, I was fairly competitive. So I guess the last 5 years, I've been more and more interested in the competitive side. But at the same time, I'm seeing, as an older athlete, I'm seeing the injuries get more. I'm seeing the sacrifice
for yourself.
For myself, I'm talking. So now it's I'm coming full circle where I'm still interested in competing, but I'm not willing to go into like the injury zone, or I'm willing to listen to my body more. So if it feels right, I'll go into the red line. But if my body's telling me no, I pull out.
If you were to have a conversation with 25-year-old you or 21-year-old you, what do you think you'd say knowing what it is you know now?
Well, it's funny because there's a few guys in the gym who are Japanese guys who are of that age, and I try to talk to them as if I was talking to myself. Whether they take my advice or not, that's up to them. But I would impress upon them to really master the basics, to go slowly, to do mobility and stretching, and not just work out and leave the gym, but spend time to actually stretch and take care of your body. I'd impress upon them nutrition, and as my first CrossFit coach told me, life is long. You don't have to be in a rush. Just take your time and do it right.
We all come into this same understanding at different places. I couldn't agree more with you. You really have to do your best to set your ego aside, because it is our ego that I think more often than not, in any case, leads to injury. Whether you're sprinting or you're doing an overhead snatch, a barbell snatch, or whatever you're doing, it's really your ego that tends to get in the way. And the more you listen to your body and the more you keep your ego in check, the less likely you are, I think, to run into injuries. And I've run into lots of injuries, even just training in the gym or playing sports, but oftentimes it's because of that. It's because of pushing that boundary that I don't need to push, but I'm pushing it because there's pride on the line or whatever.
Sure, and we're all susceptible to it. It's only in the past 2 years, I think, that I'm actually doing that. I am checking my ego at the door. At first it was like, okay, I'm competing in classes with 20-year-olds, and I'm going to show them what an older guy can do. And, I pushed myself to the point where, I was actually damaging myself. So now it's just like, I'm just competing against myself. I'm competing against myself from yesterday. And that's it.
Yeah. I love it. So then do you think, if you had I think you probably already said it, but if you were to try to kind of summarize your philosophy on either training or health or fitness, what do you think that might look like?
To make your training based on sound, functional fitness movements, to have a framework or a base layer of lifestyle, sound lifestyle, regimen of proper sleep, nutrition, hydration. That stuff has to be the basics. And then learning how to move well and know why you're doing certain movements. Have a really good coach who can give you good feedback on so you can learn how to move well. And then once all that's in place, if you want to add sport or competition at the top, that's great. But
if you don't, that's fine as well.
If you don't, that's
fine. You can live a healthy, active life without the competitive sport element.
Yeah. So it's that hierarchy, just impressing upon people the hierarchy of basic everyday nutrition, sleep, hydration, learning to move well, and then realize that pyramid.
Yeah, it's exactly how I structure everything.
You're not going to get to the Spartan race finals or the CrossFit Games by eating potato chips and chocolate
and sleeping like crap,
and smoking.
Yeah.
And then there's the meta level where you not only incorporate all the physical stuff, but then the mental stuff, where it's like the working on stress reduction through yoga,
or whatever it is,
whatever it is.
Yes.
Then you're really setting your potential to be much higher. I think.
I love it, man. I said this the moment you walked in, but there's so much in here that is so similar.
Yeah.
And even up until now, it's been so nice to hear your philosophy because it's the same. It's the exact same.
Yeah.
We just kind of came at it different ways and different places, and I love it.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be friends with other coaches who we're all kind of on the same page.
Yeah.
And the more I talk with them, the more I find out, like, yeah, exactly.
And it helps reinforce your own beliefs, right? When you know, like, honestly, in hearing you say this, especially being, I actually don't know your age. How old are you now?
53.
53. Okay. So being 53 now, being in extraordinarily good shape. Again, I see all your videos, your deadlift PRs, over barbell snatch press, whatever it is you're doing. I'm thinking, like, it's encouraging knowing that to an extent, at least part of my mindset now, technically 20 years younger, is similar to that of yours, having had that many more years of experience in the field.
Right.
So it's like, it's encouraging, and it helps. I mean, it's probably mutual, but it helps kind of reinforce, like, this is a person who I respect and to an extent admire. Like, that's why you're here, obviously, and then to know that our philosophy is so similar is like, okay, I guess I'm maybe I'm on the right track.
I got you.
And like you said, when you talk to other coaches and you realize that they have, especially coaches who you trust or admire or who inspire you, you realize, like, I am on the right path. This is the right way of approaching this.
It definitely reinforces that, and I'm so glad when I talk to coaches who are 20 years younger than I am, and they have that philosophy. It's like, wow, now you're really set up for success.
Well, for years of exactly. Because life is long. It's so funny. I say that all the time. I always like, life is long. It really is. It's not. It's not the short game. Like, it's not about the short game.
No, and I see so many folks, and that's one of the things about, I think, again, we were talking about the dark side of CrossFit or Spartan, is that you see the videos, you see the top level competitors, and you're seduced by that, and you want to get to that as quickly as possible. And the problem with that is, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a high-level athlete, but you have to pay your dues, and you have to do it safely, and it takes years. To do bar muscle ups, I struggled with that for like 5 years. I just couldn't get it.
Hard.
And then watching thousands of YouTube videos, slow motion, filming myself, and then finally it clicks. And I'm seeing people come in the gym and they're expecting in their first couple of months, and why can't I do muscle ups? It's like,
because they're friggin' hard.
It takes time.
So you've probably done this too, but I've trained a number of people from 0 push-ups to 10 push-ups, or 0 pull-ups to pull-ups. I'm sure you guys do this CrossFit all the time, especially as you work on muscle-ups. And that is one of the most, or handstand push-ups, right? Those are some of the most arduous physical tasks to go from 0 to accomplishing out there. And people may expect in the first couple weeks or months to just be able to go from barely being able to hold on to the bar for 30 seconds to doing a pull-up. Like, it's a really difficult feat. And patience is a virtue. It is a necessity. It is a necessity in the gym, in the workout environment.
And I think it's also a reflection of our culture now,
Instant
where it's
gratification.
like, I want instant. What's the shortcut? What's the hack?
What's the hack?
What's the hack?
What's the hack to whatever?
And I find in Japan that's also it seems to be even more so. That people want the secret or the shortcut, and sometimes there are tips, but there's no substitute for hard work.
Amen. Oh, I love it. Amen. Or is there like one you talked a lot about fundamentals. Is there one fundamental that no matter who this person is, what their level of fitness is, you kind of just have to ensure this person or this group can do?
Yeah.
Whether that's like a plank or squat or a, whatever.
Sure. Well, I would say I guess I would have two, and the first one would be a good hollow hold.
Yeah,
Right.
love it.
So
Love
you're on the ground, your lumbar spine's on the in contact with the floor. This is the basis of the dead bug. This is the basis of so much of developing that core strength that you need to be safe enough to do those other movements. So I think anything on the ground where we're using our core, any movement in that realm, dead bugs, bird dogs, they're my favorite. And then second to that is just having a really nice clean squat.
Yeah, yeah.
To be able to do a nice perfect air squat will set you up for so many other movements. So.
I love it. Many people think that a plank comes first, but really you're only going to achieve a proper plank if you can do a hollow body hold. Well, because if you're not doing if you can't do a hollow body hold, you're immediately going to get into a plank and your lumbar spine's going to dip. Because you don't know how to move your pelvis in the right position. And so I really appreciate hearing you say that, because I think people would think of the plank as the base. Doing a plank is like square one. Laying on the ground and then getting yourself to be able to just tilt your pelvis enough to keep your lumbar spine on the ground and hold a hollow body. That's square number one.
And all the progressions within that, where both legs are tucked up and the hands are forward. Okay, you can do that.
Then you can do
now
dead
let's
bug.
extend one leg.
Yeah, exactly,
now let's
exactly.
extend one
You could
arm.
just do that. Even us, I could
know.
just go in the gym and do that, and that's gonna be a workout for me.
I know.
So it's very interesting, like you said about the fundamentals. Taking the time to lock down the fundamentals will unlock everything else. But if you don't take the time to unlock the fundamentals, and the majority of people do not, then you're creating. I think you end up creating opportunities for injury
and bad
down
patterns.
the road, or
bad
just bad movement patterns. Exactly.
We talk about skill transfer. If you're able to do a good hollow body, that's going to help you in other movements like the muscle up.
Exactly. Or even just pull-ups, just being able to keep everything tight, but muscle-ups in particular. Exactly.
So, I'm a big believer in always revisiting the fundamentals. No matter how advanced you are, when you go back and refresh yourself with the fundamental movements and say, oh yeah, I still got it. I'm still solid. That's going to help you. You're never too good to
do the fundamentals.
I
love it.
You got to be able to step back and start from square one. You can't be afraid to do that as an athlete, to say, okay, let's just start over and relearn this movement from scratch. Because just like a house, you don't build a house on a shaky foundation. Correct. It's an overused analogy, but you got to have a solid base in order to build a house from. So,
I love it. Who is your role model?
I don't have too many individual people who I think of as role models. It's more of a mindset that I admire. So I'm a pretty philosophical person. So for me, like anything in the realm of the Stoics, or existentialists, people that just, that have a very simple approach to life, who spend time, the philosophy of Kaizen, where it's like making small improvements every day and just being real with yourself about who you are, what you need to improve on, what you need to do to move forward in your life. Anyone who embodies that, they are kind of my role model. But I don't have a lot of specific people I can name, but certain entrepreneurs who, following their dreams and, like I am, believe in themselves and are doing the hard work and realize there's no shortcuts. There's no hacks. You really just have to love what you do and put the time in. And people that do that are my role models.
Amazing. Are you a reader?
Yeah, I do read a lot. I read a lot of nonfiction. I read a lot about sports science and biology and things like that. But I do read a lot of philosophers and Buddhism and Stoicism and things like that.
This is awesome. I love reading. I haven't spoken to anyone.
Marcus Aurelius.
Meditation. I just audiobooked that probably a year ago, and now it's on my list of top 10 recommended books or top 15 recommended books of all time. There are a couple books that you may recommend someone read if, similar to you, they were
Yeah.
interested in health and wellness,
Yeah.
interested in longevity,
Yeah.
living, good lifespan, health span.
Yeah.
Any books that may be related to that, or not even related to that,
Yeah.
but just maybe a philosophy that you resonate with. Like you said, Stoicism is one that's
Sure.
standing out to me.
Sure. I would say probably the most recommended book I would say is The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle.
Oh,
You
amazing!
know.
It's on my list, but I haven't read it
Yeah.
yet.
So that, I mean, just the mental and psychological benefit that can come from living some of the suggestions in that book, I think can set you up for beyond fitness, just a happy life, which is really the end goal for all of us, right? Is just to be happy.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and it's especially important now because we're so distracted with social media and iPhones and tablets and everything
Instagram
that
and randomness, yeah.
we are all in our heads and we're always in the future and in the past. And because of that, we're missing the now. And you'll find in the Stoic philosophy also is about, they call memento mori, about realizing you're going to die and you don't know when it's going to happen, and don't take time for granted. This is the only time that's guaranteed is right now. And so don't waste time with frivolous things. Realize what your goals are and work towards them. And one way to do that is to constantly be checking in with yourself. Now, whether that's through sitting meditation, whether that's just sitting peacefully in the park or doing yoga, but connecting with that inner energy field that is always here, the eternal now. And the past and future are really just, constructions. So that's kind of what it's about. It's about just coming back to this moment, and that's where the joy is. Yeah.
I love it.
And with fitness, with CrossFit, I find so many parallels between Zen and meditation and extreme sports is that you're on that razor's edge of now. When you're doing a very dangerous, like a snatch
You're not
with heavy
thinking about
weight,
tomorrow.
you can't be thinking about the grocery list. You have to be right there, right now. And so part of the joy I feel after an intense workout is not just the endorphins, but that I've been through an experience where I was completely present. And probably motorcyclists, you're a motorcyclist.
Same. You
can't be.
There's nothing else.
There's nothing else, right?
Especially when you're like on a track. I don't know if you've track raced before. When you're on a track or something, like there is just you and the bike.
Razor's
and
edge, man.
Yeah. I'm
so
with you.
so that's what I love about CrossFit and Spartan and riding motorcycles is it forces you into the now.
Okay, so the power of now.
That
seems to stand out as one of them at least. Okay.
That's a game changer, that one.
Okay.
Another book that I would recommend is The Alchemist.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, what's his name? Paulo Coelho. Yes.
That's a book where it's fiction, but the message in there is very, obviously philosophical.
Yes. So from you, I've got The Power of Now, The Alchemist. You mentioned Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. Anything else?
I think those would be my top, I think, recommended books. I mean, there's certainly a whole lot of books that I've enjoyed and have helped me, but in terms of the top ones, I think you can go a long way with just those. If someone were just starting, I'd say start with those.
Amazing. You talked quite a bit about philosophy and Zen and being in the here and now, and word like Kaizen.
Yeah.
And then the question I had is, are those words or terms or philosophies that you were familiar with prior to coming to Japan? Or is it as a result of coming to Japan that you've learned those and then kind of dived into them?
Yeah.
Which, the chicken or the egg? I'm wondering, how did that...
Sure. I think I was aware of them before I came. I had been reading about philosophy and Buddhist philosophy for a long time. And I don't know that it's related to being here, but just from getting deeper into these subjects and seeing examples of them come up in my life when I apply them and the results. For sure, there's plenty of opportunities for us, especially with a difficult language like Japanese, to see, if you just keep practicing and applying yourself in whatever sphere, you know, you'll see good things. You just have to keep at it.
Just keep at it. And just focus on the fundamentals.
And drop expectations, whether it's fitness or any goal that you have. It's great to have a goal and a plan, but you have to be able to abandon it at some point when you realize it's not working, and also drop the expectations. Just realize this is what I'd like, but life is what it is. Things happen beyond our control. I mean, 2020 is a perfect example of that, right?
Oh my God.
So we just have to kind of, you know, I think I've in the past couple of years, I've gotten into this where I've been able to relinquish control of outcomes more and just focus on the process and not the end result.
Yes, more in the input, less in the output.
The process will take care of the result. So when people are saying that they want to lose X amount of pounds or body fat, I say, work on these habits, and it will happen.
Correct.
Get off the scale. Just practice these things.
Correct.
You'll be fine.
Exactly what I do as a coach. It's the same thing. It's, you know, same thing. I want to lose weight. It's, you know, focus on focus on the changes, the habits that need to change, and like develop the right lifestyle, and through that, all the things you want to do will happen. It becomes much less about just doing the thing, accomplishing the thing. And so in Atomic Habits, James, if you haven't read Atomic Habits, by the way, that's one you absolutely have to read.
James, Flow and
Atomic Habits. James Clear talks about, he calls them identity-based habits instead of results-based habits.
Okay.
The idea just being that identity-based habits are when you think of yourself as a certain person and you kind of try to embody that identity. I'm the kind of person who, it's one approach, but it's the same thing we're talking about. I'm the kind of person who, for example, yourself or myself, I work out 5 days a week. That's who I am. I identify as that person. You might work out 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week. You identify as that person. We're obviously in the fitness space. Somebody who doesn't work out, maybe has never worked out, identifies as the kind of person who doesn't work out. And because of that identity, it dictates your decisions. And so by changing your identity, or by kind of shaping yourself to identify as a certain kind of person, it can kind of help the process of getting the result you're actually looking for. And there are a lot of steps to creating that new identity, but in general, that identity change can then lead to, in the same way, like those habit changes can lead to the actual result you're aiming for. So you focus less on the exact result of the outcome and focus much more on the process or the mindset behind getting there.
Right, and that brings us full circle back to the power of now and being in the moment. Because when you're just focused on the process,
you're looking at you're now.
You're now.
Yeah, when you focus on the outcome, you're trying to look at
the future.
This future thing that you don't actually have control over.
Right.
You only have control over the current moment. Yeah, man. I love it, Mark. Thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. If you haven't already, please remember to subscribe, hit the notifications button, and give us your thumbs up. This is amazing. I had no idea how much we had in common, but this has been really insightful for me. I hope you guys have learned a lot. If you're interested in learning more about Mark, working with Mark, I'll put all his details below. You guys can comment so that we can get, you can get in touch with us. We can get in touch with you. If you have questions, again, I'm more than happy to dive into more philosophy. He's obviously even more into it than I am, which I thought I was on the far end of philosophizing, but I'm wrong. So if you guys have any questions, if you want to share any feedback, please throw in the comments, and you can reach out to us anytime. We'd be happy to chat. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.